Welcome to 10 Things You Didn't Know About Yesterday. In today's episode, we're delving into the dark minds of the 10 most cruel serial killers in history. Viewer discretion is advised, as these stories are not for the faint of heart. Serial killers have fascinated and horrified us for decades. These individuals committed heinous crimes, leaving a trail of terror in their wake. Today, we uncover the brutal realities behind the most notorious serial killers. Let's begin. Known for his charm and good looks, Bundy lured young women to their deaths in the 1970s. His killing spree spanned across multiple states, and he confessed to 30 homicides, though the actual number is believed to be higher. Bundy's ability to evade capture and his gruesome acts of violence shocked the nation. Ted Bundy was a master manipulator. He exploited people's trust to carry out his vicious crimes. His case highlighted the importance of forensic science and behavioral profiling in criminal investigations. Ted Bundy's crimes were not just about the act of killing. He thrived on the power and control he exerted over his victims. His ability to escape from custody twice showed his cunning nature. Bundy's charm allowed him to manipulate the legal system and the media, making him one of the most infamous serial killers in history. Also known as the Killer Clown, Gacy sexually assaulted and murdered at least 33 young men and boys in the 1970s. He buried most of his victims in the crawl space of his home. Gacy's outward appearance as a community leader and children's entertainer masked his horrific double life. Gacy's case was particularly disturbing due to his public persona. It serves as a grim reminder that predators can hide in plain sight. Gacy's gruesome crimes were discovered when the smell from his home raised suspicions. His meticulous method of luring victims, usually by promising them jobs or pretending to be a police officer, showcased his predatory instincts. The horror of Gacy's actions remains a dark chapter in criminal history. Known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, Dahmer's crimes included rape, murder, and dismemberment of 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. Dahmer's case was notorious for his acts of necrophilia and cannibalism, which he described in chilling detail after his arrest. Dahmer's actions were driven by deep-seated psychological issues. His desire for control and possession over his victims manifested in unimaginably gruesome ways. Dahmer's killing spree was fueled by a compulsion to dominate and consume his victims. His chilling confessions and the discovery of remains in his apartment shocked the world. Dahmer's case raised important discussions about mental health and the factors that drive individuals to commit such heinous acts. While not a prolific killer, Gein's crimes in the 1950s were incredibly macabre. He exhumed corpses from local graveyards and fashioned trophies and keepsakes from their bones and skin. Gein's gruesome acts inspired numerous horror films, including Psycho and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Gein's actions shocked the small community to its core. It's terrifying to think about what he was capable of right in your backyard. Ed Gein's crimes extended beyond murder. His fascination with death and his morbid collection of body parts created a legacy of horror that influenced popular culture. Gein's case was a major influence on the creation of some of the most iconic horror characters in film history. Known as the Night Stalker, Ramirez terrorized California in the mid-1980s. His crime spree included home invasions, sexual assaults, and brutal murders. Ramirez's satanic rituals and lack of remorse made him one of the most feared killers of his time. His attacks were random and terrifying. The fear he instilled in his victims and the community was palpable. Richard Ramirez's reign of terror left a lasting scar on Los Angeles. His ability to move undetected and his brutal methods created an atmosphere of fear. Ramirez's eventual capture was a result of community efforts and vigilant police work, but the trauma he inflicted continues to be felt. Active in the early 20th century, Fish was a child rapist and cannibal. He boasted about the gruesome details of his crimes in letters to the families of his victims. Fish's depravity and his penchant for self-harm and masochism make him one of history's most sadistic killers. Albert Fish's case is one of the most disturbing in criminal history. His complete lack of empathy and the cruelty of his acts are beyond comprehension. Albert Fish's horrific crimes were characterized by extreme sadism and a twisted desire for self-punishment. His letters to the families of his victims were both taunting and deeply disturbing. Fish's legacy is one of pure evil, a reflection of the darkest aspects of human nature. Known as the Butcher of Rostov, Chikatilo was a Soviet serial killer who murdered at least 52 women and children between 1978 and 1990. His crimes included mutilation, sexual assault, and cannibalism. Chikatilo's case exposed the flaws in the Soviet justice system as he evaded capture for over a decade. Chikatilo's ability to evade capture for so long was a result of bureaucratic inefficiencies and a lack of coordination between agencies. His arrest brought significant changes to investigative procedures. Chikatilo's gruesome spree went undetected for years due to a combination of poor forensic techniques and denial of the existence of serial killers in the Soviet Union. His eventual capture involved one of the largest manhunts in history and a dramatic trial that exposed his horrific deeds to the world. Perhaps the most infamous serial killer in history, Jack the Ripper terrorized London's Whitechapel district in 1888. The Ripper's identity remains unknown, but his brutal killings of at least 5 women, often involving mutilation, have spawned countless theories and investigations. Jack the Ripper's case remains a mystery, but the brutality and precision of his murders suggest a deeply disturbed individual. The fascination with his identity endures to this day. Jack the Ripper's legacy is a combination of gruesome mystery and macabre fascination. His ability to evade capture and the sensationalist media coverage of his crimes have made him an enduring figure in true crime history. The mystery of his identity continues to captivate researchers and the public alike. Operating in the late 19th century, Holmes built a murder castle in Chicago, where he lured victims during the 1893 World's Fair. The building was equipped with secret passages, gas chambers, and crematoriums. Holmes confessed to 27 murders, but the actual number is believed to be much higher. His ingenuity in designing his murder castle was horrifying. He exploited the anonymity of the World's Fair to carry out his gruesome deeds without raising suspicion. H. Holmes' murder castle was a house of horrors, designed specifically for killing. His methodical approach and the sheer scale of his operations make him one of the most calculating and cruel serial killers in history. Holmes' story is a chilling reminder of how evil can hide behind a facade of normalcy. Known as the Monster of the Andes, López is one of the most prolific serial killers, with a confirmed 110 murders of young girls in Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru during the 1970s and 1980s. He claimed to have killed over 300 victims. López's ability to elude capture and his subsequent release from prison remain controversial. His crimes were driven by a pathological hatred for women, fueled by his traumatic upbringing. His release and disappearance continue to haunt the families of his victims and the communities he terrorized. Pedro Alonso López's horrific crimes went largely unnoticed for years due to the remote and impoverished areas in which he operated. His eventual capture and confession to such a staggering number of murders revealed the extent of his depravity. The controversy surrounding his release from prison and subsequent disappearance adds to the horror of his story. These serial killers left an indelible mark on history. Their heinous acts a stark reminder of the darkest corners of the human psyche. Each of their stories offers a glimpse into the minds of those who commit such unspeakable crimes. We hope this episode sheds light on the importance of vigilance and the advancements in criminal profiling and forensic science that help prevent such atrocities. Thank you for watching 10 Things You Didn't Know About Yesterday. If you found this video informative, please like, comment, and subscribe for more intriguing and chilling stories from the past. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.